that's the whole premise of Bitcoin, though, is you don't have to be Lou Groman. You don't have to be a trader, right? You don't have to be watching charts all day long and doing this as your literal day job and doing this. You should just be able to be a McDonald's worker or a doctor or a lawyer or digging ditches or whatever you want to be in between and saving hard money that doesn't steal from you, doesn't rob you through inflation. So that's the promise of Bitcoin. Nothing has changed. The properties haven't changed at Bitcoin, but the people change. Stanley Druckenmiller changes his mind for whatever reason. And I think, Rajat and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but you're like, why do you change your reason? What are the reasonings behind that? That's what fascinates me. Like why and how the incentives of what made you change. And do you even understand in the first place? But the things that come out of their mouth of like, well, we never needed a store of value. That's the reason that you told us you got into it 6 or 7 years ago. Like, what do you mean? Have you seen $1 billion, someone worth $1 billion cuck bucks? He's telling us we don't need a store of value. It's like, do you understand how the system works? Do you understand what these government currencies are? It makes you start invalidating and now having to go back and look at everything the guy's ever said with a lot of these people, or with anyone who doesn't really get Bitcoin or sound money or what's happening. And then you're like, I can't really trust you on pretty much everything else. Like I now have to really start double checking everything you're saying because you've now broken that trust because you clearly don't understand what's going on. So whether it's Boris, a lot of these people,
I don't even think it's a problem that they don't understand it. I think it's a problem that they're so confident about it.
I always say the internet loves a confident moron, and the internet spreads their messages around a lot because people will hate on it, spread it, and people will love it because it confirms their bias and spread it. So it gets both packs evenly and just promotes that misinformation, nonsense, garbage. But I think a lot of these people also will talk their books, and it's actually they do like the opposite of what they'll say the opposite of what they're doing because they're trying to move the price in the opposite direction, create momentum and stuff. The most obvious in my eyes is CZ and Arthur Hayes. Anytime they go on and talk about, okay, Bitcoin's going to 1 million, I'm like, okay, we're gonna crash, because they literally it's like pitch perfect timing. Is just right on the nose, those two, in my opinion. And I think a lot of this is that as well. Because there's no reason. Why is Boris Johnson talking about Bitcoin? There's no reason for him to talk about Bitcoin right now. I think it's actually like, I think it's deeper. Like, you got to put your tinfoil hat on with these people a little bit, because there's some ulterior motive to even the topic of that coming up for that person who's just an ex-politician, ex-prime minister of the UK or whatever, right?
What did Stanley Druckenmiller say? I've seen the Boris Johnson kind of a thing with I don't even remember what it was, but it was very stupid. But
he basically said stablecoins are better,
and we don't need a store of value. He's like, yeah, it's a solution in search of a problem, and we never really need a store of value. But stablecoins will be a thing in 10 or 15 years.
Yeah,
wild. Let's recreate the old system with new technology. This is like the whole gold and silver, in general. Like, again, we talked about this yesterday, but like, you got to do your homework. It's like, it can lead a horse to water. You can't make people drink it. And it's beyond frustrating for a Bitcoiner when we've all gone through the fatal funnel. We've gone through the gauntlet. This is not just like we woke up one day and we're geniuses all of a sudden and Nostradamus, like, oh, this is going to be the future. It's from thousands of hours of work, pain, experience, building businesses, getting rug pulled. That's why Bitcoiners are Bitcoiners. Bitcoiners, ironically, are the most humble people I've seen, because they're the ones that were open to changing. They left gold and silver, they left real estate, they left these other worlds. So then, like, the Bitcoin maximalism thing is literally a false meme, because if something comes along better, aliens bring down the new element that I haven't seen on the periodic table, and we have a better Bitcoin for some reason, and all of society starts gravitating to that, then I will then check myself and say, you know what, maybe we need to go there, because I've done it before and I'll do it again. But nothing on this earth right now at this moment has the properties of Bitcoin. Zero. There's nothing even close. So that to me, that's where the homework has to be done at the end of the day, because all this is just noise in between there, unless something changes that I'm unaware of, we haven't seen yet. Well, that stands to reason.
Brandon, have you heard of Caspa?
And, that's a great point, Joe. I mean, like, so some of these things, right? Like, they have things that, Bitcoin's open source code. You can go copy it. You can go do the exact same thing. But this is the problem. Like you guys just said, you have like the Terrence Howard, like when someone confirms your bias, then you just easily like shut your mind off. Like, yes, I don't have to do any work. Yes, like this is great. I knew it was too good to be true, and your brain just shuts off because we're path of least resistance for human beings. It's one of our fallibilities. Like we just want things to be easy, pattern, routine. And so when you have someone, Terrence Howard could get up here on the PBD podcast and say 1,000 amazing things and give a 6-hour podcast, and you still have 8 billion people being like, well, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. But then he says one bad thing, you're like, yeah, yes, mine shuts off. Like, that's great. So something like Caspa, and this is the other dichotomy, where you have Donald Trump, presidents, El Salvador, countries, sovereign wealth funds saying, yes, we're in Bitcoin. We're going to mine Bitcoin. And it's like, there you go. There's your leader doing it. Or it's like super simplistic to your point, like Lindy effect. These things were like, it's existed for 17 years. It has the bandwidth. It's got the capacity. It has the track record. It is the first mover. And then it's like, well, that's too simple, Brandon. Like, that's too easy. Like, okay, then let me show you the 21 million and SHA 256 and all that. Like, whoa, that's way too complicated. And it's like, you can't have it both ways. Like, you can't, like, we're going insane here. And it's just like this thing that humans can't get out of their own way. And that's where you just go back to mindset. You can lead the horse to water, can't make him drink. And you have to be ready to accept it. And you need amount of pain in your life, which is a lot of what a lot of us have experienced in some way. Going back to the fatal funnel, the gauntlet that as a Bitcoiner, you have to go through in order to understand Bitcoin. And just a lot of society, whether we, and Rajat, you talked about this the other day. A lot of people in Turkey, like people are talking to, they don't even know what Bitcoin is. People that need Bitcoin don't even know what it is. And so like, it just shows you how early we are. And it's at 17 years in, so like, it's just patience.
Do you guys believe that stable coins will have a future in like 100 years? I mean, I'm very certain that they will be playing a role in like 5-10 years. But like, do you guys think that like we'll never really get rid of the fiat system? There will always be some kind of government token issued, even like 100-200 years, even if Bitcoin is at the $400 trillion market cap.
I think they will, mostly because humans have such a hard time, especially with like the absolute scarcity with a fixed supply. Like, it works. It should work. Like, there's no reason why we need to keep printing units of currency for our economy to grow. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But every human that occupies the earth right now has been taught that that's the case. And so I think that stablecoins have a future, mostly because people won't want to spend their Bitcoin because they see it as, once they get to that point, they're going to see it as like something that they don't want to spend. That's the narrative from the mainstream, is like, never sell your Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin. And I think that we'll always need credit. I don't know what credit looks like in the future without something like a stable coin. I mean, it would be very localized, I think, or relationship based and trust based. It's going to be difficult, and it's going to be, I think, a very long journey there. But the reason why I do think we're going to have stable coins is because of that reason. People want more units, and especially if Bitcoin does what I think it's going to do, we're going to need a lot of stable coins. But when I say that, you have to keep in mind here that I'm not talking like fiat currencies where governments just have the ability to create them out of nothing. I think that governments, or whatever survives this next chapter here, whatever the governments look like at that stage, they're going to have a currency that's backed by something. And if they don't, then their currency is going to lose to whoever does. And I think the US has been pretty clear that they want to have a currency that's going to be backed by Bitcoin, backed by gold, backed by oil, backed by what they have as assets on their balance sheet. And so I think the next iteration is going to be currencies that are backed by something, and they're going to compete. And probably the one with the most Bitcoin is going to be the most valuable because it's backed by the most. So in that sense, it'll just kind of be in the next transition. I don't know how long that lasts. Eventually, I think we get to a Bitcoin standard, but I don't know if we're around to see it. But again, the last thing I want to point out there is that at least that stable coins in that sense will be much better than the fiat currencies that we have today that are literally backed by nothing. At least these will have some backing. And if they're using something like Bitcoin, we can actually verify what they have backing that currency up.
It's hard to predict like 100 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's impossible to predict anything super accurately, but there could be these sort of intermediate times before then where there's different levels of stable coins based on the needs of people and the market. So there could even be a stable coin that is backed by Bitcoin and puts on Bitcoin to level out the volatility that still exists within Bitcoin. And then it has to still be denominated in something else. So I guess fiat still exists in that sense, or I don't know what it would be denominated in. I mean, that's where things begin to fall apart in my mind with stable coins, is if Bitcoin is the unit of account, then what are the stable coins priced in, if not Bitcoin?
Well, it'd be Bitcoin, right?
But then if they're priced in Bitcoin, then why not just use Bitcoin? Like, what is the utility that a stable coin has at that point? It's kind of hard for me to figure out.
I would just say that the utility that they would have, kind of based on what I was saying, is like they have the network. Where
like
if I
the
wanted
rails.
to send, what's that?
Like the payment rails or something.
Yeah, and not just the payment rails, but like the actual
users, the merchants.
Yeah, people still want like a middleman there.
Yeah, they want the stability. I think there's always going to be people. There's always going to be people who want stability. Like I feel like they don't care about getting enslaved. I think they're more worried about stability. Like
there's also like consumer protection. Like it's sort of a benefit that Bitcoin can't be clawed back, right? But there could be an argument that it's not in some cases. So people might want like that as well. So that would require. But I don't know. I think all of this is just built on top of Bitcoin anyway. Like it's all like a stable coin ends up being Bitcoin locked in a contract like Lightning is, and you can do clawbacks within that system because there's a sort of an oracle intermediary deciding things. I don't know. I don't know how it all looks, but I think it is ultimately all built on Bitcoin.
And it's what I was thinking, because you can of course have a stable coin, but the question is it a stable coin that has the unit US dollar, or is it a stable coin that is ultimately just Bitcoin? So it's like we can have the whole MasterCard, Visa network, callbacks, customer support, user, like the merchant things, all on Bitcoin. We don't need any US dollars for that. And that's what I'm thinking we are right now. I'm kind of obsessed the last, I think, 2 weeks with this car and horse example. I'll just show you guys this, and I'm curious what you guys think on that, because it took, but I did not show this last time around, right? I did not show this last time. I don't remember. I hope I did not. But I just wanted to show this because it took a very long time for the car to be the similar speed of a horse, which sounds weird now. But in the beginning, when the car first came out, it was like only 16 kilometers per hour. And it took it, about 15 years to catch up with the horse just in speed. So it took a long time for the horse, for the car to actually be as good as the horse was from a standpoint. And then there was a red flag thing. I don't know how to search it. Red flag car Britain. I don't know if you guys heard about that. It was the Red Flag Act in the British law. It was there for about how many years? It was for 30 years or something like that, where for 30 years, when you were driving a car, someone had to walk in front of the car to wave and say to people, there's a car coming, pay attention. And so all of those examples for me is just like, now it seems like, like Bitcoin, we need stable coins, we need this and that, we need the users, the merchants, and all of that. I think it just needs time for this ecosystem to kind of like emerge and to spread and make those things happening. And so I found it very fascinating to compare it with the car and the horse. I don't know.
That's so interesting. I had no idea about the flag. I think I heard about. Did you guys hear somebody invented something where every car has to have like a shovel in front of it, so that if people, if maybe it was just a joke or a cartoon or something, but it has to have a shovel in front of it, so that if people show up in front of it, then they don't get hit. They just fall in the shovel and they stay safe. And it might have been a cartoon, but I thought it was really funny.
There was an invention that was like it was like a contraption that had a big net that they attached to the car, and it would grab whatever falls into it. I saw a YouTuber tried to recreate it, and it was like the most dangerous thing ever.
I thought they also used to have like a horse's head on the front of a car so that people could associate the car with the horse for a while too. I never heard the red flag. That's wild though. That's really absolutely wild.
I heard a guest of mine told it to me, I think last week or something like that. And I was like, what? Like, how is that? And it was there for 30 years. It was not like a short law that was outlawed afterwards directly. It was like 30 years directly. So it's crazy.
Robin,
so in other words, the stable coins would essentially be the red flag for 30 years, maybe. And it's pretty good name for it too, honestly. What?
I thought that was really funny.
Wow. Yeah, Brian DeMint's Bitcoin Evangelism, that book that he wrote 4 or 5 years ago, it's an awesome book. And he actually, the first couple chapters go through a lot of this, the different technologies. Like when electricity came out, there was like open, frayed wires, just like everything, right? Like it was just like in people's home and like burn people's home down. And so it took years and decades for a lot of these technologies to really come to this mainstream adoption, safe adoption, like whatever you want to call it, any form of it. So it's like and one of the other examples he had was like 1910. It was just one of these newspapers was like, there's never going to be a cargo freight commercial airliner type aircraft. They called it something a little different, right? And the very next year, there was like the first cargo commercial airliner flying. And it's just like, you can't make this stuff up. It's hard to see because we're just living in the middle of it. But when you zoom out and you look back, I mean, like Robin said, like how dumb some of these things look. Well, it's because humans have never, it's all relative. Humans have never experienced these things before. So it's just like, you look at fire. Like if you would have told a caveman, whoever invented fire or discovered fire, it'd be like, oh, we're going to have rockets and we're going to have, jet propulsion and use rocket cooking stoves. And all. He's going to be looking at you like, what are you talking about? So it's just, you have to zoom out at the end of the day, and patience is the name of the game.
I mean, even fire, right? Like to think that you can have just a bundle of sticks and a spark, which are, two just small things that are completely separate, and then all of a sudden you have the creation of fire, which is it feels like alive, and it's a completely different thing that exists. If nobody had experienced fire before, but they've experienced a spark and wood, and you try to explain fire to them and they have no reference point, it would be pretty difficult. It's so novel compared to the inputs, and that's what Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin is not it was no monumental breakthrough in some new type of technology. It was the combination of many technologies put together to create a new concept of what those technologies can do. And to me, and I mean, many people have made that comparison of Prometheus creating the fire or whatever, but it's the same thing. Satoshi brought forth Bitcoin as a concept and actualized it based on technology that already existed.
Yeah, these are great propaganda pieces, Robin. Thank you for finding these.
Oh, it's from Troy, this one.
This is anti-electricity propaganda from the early 1900s.
There you go.
So you can see here that the light bulb is death. Electricity is death. You got guys caught in wires. The horses are falling over. People falling over in the streets, running away from it. So this is... But I mean, when you think about it, why would this happen? Like, I don't think this is just the newspaper being genuinely concerned with people. It's the horses. It's the people who built the horse and buggies. It's the people who, sold the kerosene. It's the people who didn't want that to succeed. And that's essentially the JP Morgans and the Boris Johnsons. They'd be the ones these days basically paying for the propaganda against Bitcoin because it makes them obsolete. That's kind of the point.
Lobbyists.
Of it, right? So,
yeah, the lobbyists, the people paying to make sure that this doesn't pass into regulation.
And it's also just generally people that are afraid, I think, as well.
Yeah,
like I mean, all these people. Stanley Druckenmiller, right? Oh, we don't need a store of value. Oh, well, maybe you don't, because you have so much money already. You have so much wealth. You found your store of value in stocks, bonds, gold, whatever it is. Yeah, those are inferior stores of value, but nonetheless, they do store value compared to fiat. So yeah, you don't see the use case of a store of value with Bitcoin. You don't think that we need that. Many other people would disagree because they don't have a good store of value. There's people in the world right now storing their value in cattle that they have in their, next to their house, because, that can at least store value better than the local currency.